So my name is Megan Dunham, and I'm going to be talking about the Sumi-e and the painting techniques. For Sumi-e, it's the Japanese word for black ink painting. Sumi-e was formed within the Zen Buddhism era almost 2,000 years ago. Zen masters took the form of art of Sumi-e as part of their spiritual disciplines. The art allowed the monks to foster their strict discipline mindset as well as maintain their focus on reflection. Part of the tradition was for monk to meditate prior to painting. This meditation process would help the brain be in a calm state in order to prepare the materials and mastering the technique. This would include grinding the ink, loading the brush, and releasing the ink onto the paper. It is difficult to master this painting technique without the proper mindset. So in order to apply the technique, there are several tools that are needed. The ink, sumi, the grinding zone, the zuri, the brush, fudi, and the paper, kami. The ink is not like most inks. It consists of soot from burnt pine wood and lamp black combination with glue and camphor, which together is molded into a stick. The stick is then dipped in water and grounded in a figure 8 until it is a creamy black ink. Sumi-e painting relies on brushwork, therefore it is important to obtain the correct brush. The paper is often handmade and referred to as rice paper. Rice paper is made of bamboo pulp. This is then sized to have a less absorbent surface. This is good for Sumi-e paintings because it requires a fine line work. Swan is one of the papers used by artists as it has a proper balance needed for the line technique. Using these tools, we can now master the stroke. Remembering the mindset, you want each stroke to be a meaningful gesture. The audience should see your work as a welcoming gesture. When you start with one stroke. Once the stroke is complete, it cannot be altered because as an artist, you are sharing your expression and meaning for it. It is important to balance shades of ink while your strokes are being released. This is because your strokes can be released at different times with different speeds. You cannot measure the same consistency of ink or stroke pattern until you have gained the proper experience. With experience, you'll see that the shading technique is different than a normal type. You have different levels of gray with the ink, and the shading of Sumi-e represents the dynamics in the work, from light to dark and dark to light. Having a smooth and seamless tone will show off the Sumi-e artist characteristic. Artists will use old paintings to practice replicating stroke technique and defining values of ink. This allows for artists of the present and of the future to understand the technique and value of Sumi-e painting. It is important to understand the history behind Sumi-e painting because of how it was represented of the Zen Buddhism values, as well as it helped give the foundation for the samurai code of conduct in the ancient warriors. Ironically, many of the fierce warriors use this painting technique to become master Sumi-e artists, as both roles request rigorous discipline and training. Sumi-e is a delicate but beautiful technique of painting. Some of you may not know this type of painting is derived from the Chinese, and this is also true for other paintings that come from other countries. Not only did the Japanese gather influence from the Chinese, they have incorporated values and teachings within the technique of this painting. So they call it bushido, which gives the paintings multiple layers of interpretation and meaning. With each delicate stroke, you can tell a story and how the painting has come to life. I read too fast. There's like one more after this.
You can comment on this.
You can see like with the technique of how you have to have a nice flow with the stroke patterns, and this is like just an example of shading and how you can get really dark from the black ink and really lighten it with water and allow for a different gray tone. questions, comments? Yeah.
If you wouldn't have stopped and been like, oh my gosh, this is our last slide, like no one would have known. So you could have just kept talking about it, just like make something up, I don't know. But that's the only thing. You did a really good job besides that.
I really liked how much original work you included, because even though like you can tell on some paintings obviously are the professional ones, it does all flow very good together. So it definitely shows that you like took that into account and made it all part of the presentation.
Tell us what your experience was with doing it.
It was kind of difficult. I did the seahorse. It turned out better like on the paper, but when I took the picture, I guess it kind of just lost its touch. But it was kind of difficult to do, and it's very gestural-like. For me, it was just really hard.
If you look at video of masters doing strokes, it's done very quickly, with a great deal of assurance, but it takes lots and lots and lots of practice to be able to do it at all that way. And to be able then to vary the same stroke the next time to get a different amount, a different degree, a different value on the paper takes many years of discipline. After a summer of doing bamboo, I could make a lot of bamboo shoots that looked exactly the same. But when I consciously tried to lighten the pressure or whatever, I still couldn't make the gradations. And when I say a summer of doing this, like practicing a little bit, 4 and 5 times a week, not absolutely every single day, but taking about a half hour to 40 minutes in that other time. It's a lot of effort to learn the system. Anybody like a particular image there? Better than another, or find it more interesting than another?
I really like the last one, just because like a lot of the images we've been looking at are not simple, but they don't like fill the entire composition. And I like that one because it actually even shows how they, by like washing out the ink, they can show depth too. I think that's really credible to the last one.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about that image, it doesn't have to be my favorite, but what interested me about it is how close it comes to something we can recognize in Impressionism, only doing it all in essentially a grayscale, where the Impressionists were interested in certain kinds of colors to represent life. I found the image of the samurai, which is number 11, I think, particularly interesting because the two disciplines are brought to mind immediately there, and the similarity between the physical disciplines, even if you think of the martial arts as you learn them today, if you learn any of the Asian martial arts, you're learning a philosophy, a set of skills, and a way of approaching combat or adversaries, much as the way you have to learn all the discipline of sumie in order to produce the drawing in the end. Plus, it's just a very beautiful drawing, I think, in terms of its composition. Any other questions or comments here? Okay, thank you.